I breathe in, I breathe out, I take in, I give out, I let love, I let go, I release, I know, I forgive, I receive, I can feel, I believe, I am healed, I am whole, I release, I know. Breathe, 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 breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. No need to push. No need to try, no need to worry or question why. Surrender, let go, release, and know. Breathe, 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 breathe. Breathe. And so I invite you now, if you haven't already done so, to close your eyes. If you're comfortable doing that, allow your body to relax and let the chair support you. Release any tension that may be in your face, in your shoulders, in your torso. Just scan your body. Just think about every part of you and see where any tension may be. And breathe. Breathe the breath of God into that place. Every bit of the atmosphere contains oxygen, and that oxygen moves through you, refreshing you, restoring you, enlivening you. And in that same way, the energy of God is moving through you now. That energy enlivens you, allows you to take physical form, allows you to be a part of this life experience with all of its questions, all of its answers, with all of its wanting and with all of its receiving. life is, and you are here to experience all of the contrast, the ups, the downs, the happies, the sads, the love, the pain. I can't have one without the other. And so we give thanks for all of it. We don't hold on to the good times because they know they will pass. We don't hold on to the difficult times because we know they too shall pass. Instead, we say here now, in this moment, just breathing in, breathing out, allowing the breath of God to breathe you. And as we are quiet, as we say to our thoughts, peace, be still, peace, be still, we are able to hear with ears that are our inner ears. We're able to see with eyes that are our inner eyes. We're able to know with an inner knowing, that presence and power of God in which we live and move and have our being. In prayer, we speak and we affirm the truth that we know, and we affirm the truth that God knows. In meditation, we listen. We listen, we say, here I am. I am one with the one. That presence and power of God is moving through me now, moving through all of us. And so for these next few moments, I invite you to quiet your thoughts. And as you do, you will hear the still small voice for God. It may come as a whisper in your ear. It may come as a feeling of love. It may come as an expansive opening, a feeling of being one with the one. It may be nothing at all. It may simply be a step upon the path that will take you to the path that is God. For these next few moments, I invite you to be still and listen for the still small voice for God in the silence, in the silence. Let us take another deep breath together. And as we release the breath, we know that we've been here before to this place of peace. And we know that we can come back anytime we want. We can come back to this place of peace that is God within us, God all around us. We are a part of God. God is a part of us. God put itself into all of creation. The beauty in a flower, the love in our hearts, the smile of a baby, all of creation, the promise in a rainbow. It is all God. And so we do give thanks, Infinite Spirit, for knowing this, for living our lives in this space of love and joy and promise. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. Amen. Breathe, breathe. I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. I was walking asleep, dreaming I was awake. This will confuse me and led me astray. Yes, it led me astray. What could I be to please my mother? What could I do to bring peace to my father? I was spinning around when finally found that part of me that was always free. I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. Oh, yes, I am. I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. If you're walking asleep, pulled by the weight of this world, so turned around that it's hard to discern what is up and what is down. Stand still and be your own salvation. You are a child of God's creation. You're a light in this world. You're a God in the flesh. And as we awake, we must confess, I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. I don't need to wonder no more. I am here for my God to reveal what was said in the beginning. Go back to the beginning. When you're alone and scared, go back to the beginning. When your friends, they try to put you down, go back to the beginning. When everything seems to be going wrong, go back to the beginning. Yeah. Go back to
In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God.
And band, that was a song by Rickie Byars. And Rickie gave us permission to use that song today. So awesome. In the beginning, in the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep." Yada, yada, yada. And then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. Let there be light. So, all of you students of the Bible, how many days did it take God to create the earth and all of its inhabitants? 6. And God rested on the seventh day. Yes. And thus the earth was created. Now, from the Polynesian culture, we learned that the world emerged from a shell. When the shell slowly opened, light came from inside the shell. The top of the shell became Rickie, or sky, and the bottom became Papa, or earth. And Rickie and Papa loved each other so much that they got together and they gave birth to 70 powerful gods that helped in creating the world as we know it. So that's from the Polynesian culture. Now, for the Native Americans and the Cherokee people, Earth was a mere island that was floating in a big ocean. It hung from 4 clouds that were suspended from the ground, but the darkness made it impossible for anybody to see. And so the sun appeared, and it chased away the darkness. There were 7 days and 7 nights, and God instructed the animals, "Stay awake." But some of the animals fell asleep. They couldn't stay awake. And so those who stayed awake, God gave the ability to see in the dark. So that's from the Cherokee people. Now, over the last few days, I've read 25, 30 different creation stories. There are a lot of creation stories. The stories we tell have power in our lives. Of these 3 creation stories that I just mentioned, which of them do you think is correct? No one has a favorite? Now, we've all heard the first one. Anybody who hasn't heard Genesis? No, it's in our culture. It's just part of who we are, even if we're not Christians. You learn that story. There are many, many stories. And where do they come from? Why do we have them? What's important about these stories? Why do people tell them? We've got them through different religions and different cultures all through history. There have been these stories about, in the beginning, the creation stories. Well, creation myths and stories are metaphors. They contain symbolism. They help people to understand where they came from. They help people to understand what has happened in their lives. They're an attempt to understand or to answer the deep existential questions that we have about who we are and where we came from. So all these cultures have different stories, and all of them think that their stories are true. All of them do. Humankind loves to understand. They love to make meaning out of things. They love to put it in a context so that it means something to them. And if you've ever had that feeling that, how many of you have had that feeling that you don't really belong to this earth. There's something that's not quite right here. I must be from another planet. I'm not like my family. I wonder what's going on. I see some heads nodding. Yeah, a lot of us have had that. That's a part of it, what I call an existential angst. It's a part of trying to figure out what's going on and having a slight sense of anxiety because something inside of us knows there's more to us than this earth, and this earth is not quite our home. There's more to us than meets the eye. And so, in an attempt to understand that, we make these stories up. We just keep going. Now, here's an example of a story that, we've had a lot of floods recently. Germany just had some terrible floods. There have been floods around this country. Things are going crazy with the floods. And in the Bible, there's the story of Noah's Ark. And in a nutshell, here's the story of Noah's Ark, although I know you all know it. People were bad. People were bad and wrong. And God looked around and said, I've had enough of this. I'm going to drown them all. I'm going to clean this mess up once and for all. And the only one that listened to God, the only one that obeyed God was Noah. And God said, okay, Noah, I'll save you and your family. Build me an ark. And so Noah didn't question. He got right to it. He built the ark. He loaded the animals on. It started raining. Everybody drowned. The world was covered with water. And only Noah and his family and those animals in the ark survived. Now, what's the purpose of that story? That story helps to understand something that historically happened. The earth has flooded again and again in different places. And a story like that helps people to make meaning out of it, helps them to understand it. It also helps to understand, to explain where the dinosaurs went, because they were too big to get in the ark. So they drowned. Right? It also helps us to understand why God gets rid of evil people and saves good people. So the basic underlying message from the Hebrew scriptures, from the Hebrew people is, obey God and you are blessed, disobey God and you are cursed, and maybe even drown. And that same theme goes throughout the Old Testament. And you can read it in story after story. It's talking about goodness and badness, and God being in charge of all of it. And God, of course, is masculine. And that's another story. I don't think anybody's ever found the ark. They've looked. They've climbed up mountains and looked for that ark. It's another myth. It's the story that's told to explain something that really happened and to make people feel a little more secure. Because what else happened with that story? God promised, I'll never do it again. And I'll give you a rainbow in the sky so that you'll remember that I won't ever flood the earth again like that. God, are you still paying attention?
Yeah.
Because it's starting to look kind of sketchy down here. And so we look up as if God is only up there, and we're speaking. That's part of our myth. That's part of our story, that God is up there, out there somewhere. Interesting how we have these stories. The Bible tells that flood story. If you do some research, you'll find that there are flood stories in many other cultures. Many other cultures have stories of the flood because the flood actually happened. It was an historical event or events, and everybody wants to try and make meaning out of it. So there are more than one flood stories. It helps to people to understand the suffering that's going on in their lives. It helps people to keep down some of the fear that they have. And the stories that are told doesn't say so much about the people that are in them as it does about the consciousness of the people who wrote or told the stories. It says more about the storyteller than it does about the characters in the story. Because you can only tell a story from your own level of awareness, your own level of consciousness. It reflects the creation myths, reflect the level of consciousness of the people who created those stories. And if you study enough of them, you'll see that human consciousness is evolving. That's one of the great things we learned in seminary, was if you can look at the Old Testament clear up through the end of the book, in the Revelation, you'll see that humankind's consciousness is evolving. Our understanding of God has evolved over time. Because in the beginning, there were many gods. There were lots of gods. And there are discrepancies in the stories because nobody knew which one was right, so they kind of wove them together. If you're a Bible scholar, you know that. And if you're not a Bible scholar, if you're interested, just read some of them and you'll find that there's two different stories woven together in the Old Testament to make sense out of them. Try and make all the stories fit. So if you'll see, our consciousness is evolving and we're getting to a point now where we understand that there is more to us than meets the eye. We're told we're created in the image and after the likeness of God. And God is spirit. God isn't in a human body, although people often think that God is. We have a spiritual nature, and that spiritual nature is part of who we are and is the larger part of who we are. And that nature has put itself into a human form, and we walk around and we've completely forgotten who we are and what we are. Sometimes we have moments of great remembering, and there have been teachers like Jesus and the Buddha and others who have understood who they are and what they are, and that the Father and I are one. There are some real nuggets of truth in the Bible. It's just a lot to sit through to find them. But if you start to read it from an awareness, a higher awareness, you will see them, and it will mean something different to you than it ever did before. So the Bible has some value. I'm not saying we should throw it out because it's all a bunch of stories. I'm saying that there were some very inspired people at a very high level of consciousness who wrote some of those stories. And in order to understand it, we also have to be at a higher level of consciousness. We know that we're all creators, right? We create, we build buildings, we make children, we do all kinds of things. Everything we do is a creative endeavor. Our entire lives, we are creators. And we get to be aware now that first humankind became self-aware and was able of self-reflection. There was a time when humankind didn't say, who am I? They just, any more than an animal would. So humankind became self-aware. Now we're becoming God self-aware. Now we're becoming aware of our divine nature and beginning to live from that nature. That's pretty amazing. And it wasn't just ancient cultures that were asking about how the world was created. We have scientists today and seekers today who are still looking back, trying to find what the Big Bang was or where that started. It's not something that we just say, okay, I got it, and we walk away from it. We're still trying to figure that out. And I'm a student of Abraham Hicks, and I came across an Abraham video in which a woman was asking Abraham, how was the earth created? And I'm going to read to you Abraham's response, and I'll try to do my best. Try to follow this. Abraham said, it was an idea, and the essence of it was known. So it was held in the mind of that which is source, which is all of you from your non-physical perspective. In other words, first there is thought, then there is thought that is thought more upon. So it begins to take form. And when it begins to take form, then that form just means that more who are thinking it are involved in the thought. So as it begins to take form, more thinkers are involved in it, more perspectives are involved in it. So then the more perspectives that are focused upon it, then the more form it takes until eventually the form takes such substantial form that it is able to be viewed even more and more. And that's the point at which you begin to call it a materialization of something. Now, if we want to shorten that down, we can say, let there be light. Let there be light, and there was light. Basically, it's thought energy that is continued to thought upon, and more thoughts like it are attracted, and it's condensed down into physicality. Physicality, that's a lot to follow, isn't it? A thought draws more like thoughts. And eventually, with enough focus and enough momentum, like a snowball rolling down a hill, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And there it is. It becomes a thing. That's another creation myth. But it's more than a myth. It's also a creation process. It's a creative process. Usually, we just go thinking about everything. We see things, we respond to them. We hear a good song, we clap. We just create by default. We think, and we're thinking is creating, right? So usually we just do that. We just think, and whatever our old beliefs are the containers for what we manifest. Our beliefs help to shape our thoughts and therefore shape what shows up in our lives. But we can also wake up. We can also become conscious. We can also say, I'm going to think on purpose. I'm going to choose my thoughts, and I'm going to guide my thoughts by how it feels. And it seems so simple, and it is. It's just that we have learned something else, and we've been practicing something else for so long that it takes a little bit of work to shift that around. And that's the power of affirmations. Affirmations help us to think thoughts that are always spiritually true and let them become true for us until we get it on a deeper, deeper level. Not on an intellectual level, but on a level of a deeper knowing. There's a difference between knowing something and knowing that you know. And so that creation myth is a creative process. And we get to choose what we want to think and how we want to create. Abraham said, most think in terms of thought affecting the world. So when you want to create something, you start thinking about red car, red car, red car. I want a red car. No, I'm going to create a red car. I see myself driving a red car. That's going to make that red car appear for me. I'm sure it is. And Abraham says, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Most think in terms of thought affecting the world. You think about transmitting outward. I'm going to affect the world with my outgoing signal, not a red car. That isn't the way it works, Abraham says. You affect the world by achieving the vibration that brings the signals to you. You first raise your vibration. You first get to the place where your thoughts are in tune with God thoughts. They're that high, they're that powerful, and they have to be that frequent. A God thought here and there is a good start. And so you get to raise your vibration. Abraham says you create a nucleus of thought that the universe has to respond around. That is how you're the creator. Imagine that. Isn't that the opposite of everything we thought we knew? Kind of, sort of. The good news is you may not feel like you always have control over your thoughts, but you do have control over your vibration. At any point, you can do things that make you feel better. Babies smiling, puppy dogs, kittens, standing outside after the rain, seeing that rainbow in the sky, watching a double rainbow. Ooh, even more exciting. No matter where you are in consciousness, you have the power to think thoughts that bring you joy or make you feel better. No matter where you are, no matter what's going on in your life. It may not feel like harps and angels, Abraham says. It may, but it may feel like relief. You may have been in extreme pain, psychological, emotional pain, and then that pain lifts. That is a move in the right direction. Sometimes we can't go from deep pain to great joy in one leap. Sometimes we do, and those we call, moments of enlightenment. And they happen every so often, but who wants to be in that kind of pain to start with? Let's be conscious creators and work our way up the scale of emotions on purpose. Let's do it on purpose. When your thoughts feel good to you, you're on a higher vibration. You're tuned into your sacred self. When your thoughts feel unpleasant, that tells you that you're not seeing yourself or the world the way Spirit sees it, the way God sees it. So think again. Think again. You can ask, how can I see this differently? And be quiet until an answer comes. Most of us can't be quiet until the answer comes. That's kind of tricky. When you are still and quiet and you get yourself into that place, you will have a knowing. You will know what God knows to be true. And when you get that, you can tell a new story, or you can tell the old story you've been telling in a whole new way. And that story has power to create your life. Now, I believe that the creation story in the Judeo-Christian culture is a myth. And Bible scholars know it's a myth. Most people don't take it literally. I mean, you can, but that's a rough road to go. For me, no matter what the creation stories are, the here and now creation story that we're living is much more powerful, and it's a whole lot more fun, and it's a lot more relevant to us, right? So the creation story is the creation story of your life. You get to decide what you're creating, you get to decide what you want, and you get to enjoy bringing it into being. That's why we're here, is to enjoy that, bringing things into being, to be creators in this physical environment. Now, that's my creation myth. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe anything I say, because I'm only the person that knows what I know for me. And you're the only one who knows what you know for you. But if we can agree on a few things, and if we find out that everybody really, this resonates with us, we get this, then we band together like a bunch of weirdos believing things that the rest of the world doesn't believe, and then we can consciously create whatever we want. We can. One thing to note, rather than taking joy in what you manifest and what shows up in your life, take joy from the creative process itself. Take joy from the sitting in the presence of God, feeling itself. That's where the joy is. Because things come and things go. As soon as you get that red car, then you're going, oh, I want a blue one. You know, I want a new blue one. So the things don't matter that much. What matters is the creative process and being in that feeling of, I know I've got my hands in the clay and I am making things happen. This is cool. This is good. We can do this. So, Richard Bach, the author of Illusions, many of you have probably read that, said, don't believe what your eyes are telling you. All they show is limitations. Look with your understanding. Find out what you already know, and you'll see the way to fly. See the way to fly. So when you meditate, when you quiet your thoughts, you'll find out what you already know. Your vibration naturally rises. You come into contact with the thoughts of God, become your thoughts. You're intermingled. You're one with the one. And so you can look for something to appreciate. You can look for something to focus your mind on. You can just make yourself happy. You can sing songs or listen to music. A lot of us, thank you for singing that beautiful song, Catherine. And you too, Brenda, and you, all y'all. Music is a powerful way to lift your vibration, but find a way to feel good, because when you feel good, what comes to you? Like thoughts, more things that feel good. It's the law of the universe. It works that way. Just try to prove it, otherwise you can't. But so that's the way it works. Okay. The most thrilling thing is syncing your mind with God mind within you. When you get that, you'll see the way to fly. You'll feel it, you'll know it. So the question of how the world was created doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Doesn't make any difference to you when you know how to create your world now. Because now is all there is. Who cares how it started in the beginning? How is it starting right now? And remember, God did not create the world in one day. It was 6 days. And there was rest on the seventh. So don't expect everything to show up this red hot minute, because there's a chance that it won't. There's a chance that it will. But then you're really going to need to rest. So everything is in a constant process of creation, ongoing, evolving, eternal process of becoming more. So this week I'm going to invite you to remember your thoughts are becoming things. Instead of looking at the world and letting the world determine how you feel, find out what you already know. Get quiet. Rise up to that Buddha consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that consciousness of your sacred self. Become the joyful creator that you came here to be. Join me in this affirmation. I am a powerful creator. Let there be delight. Let's say that together. I am a powerful creator. Let there be delight. Let there be the light. Let there be delight. God bless you. Thank you.